Hello everyone, I am the Meta Kirby, and welcome to my channel, the Commander Tavern. The Commander Tavern is a channel dedicated to my favorite Magic the Gathering format. Commander Cube Draft is a mini-series where I'm going to be talking about everything Cube Draft, but related specifically to the Commander format. Throughout this series, I'm going to be explaining the process behind how I brewed my own Commander Cube, as well as pointers on how to build your own. I'll also be reviewing and analyzing many topics and aspects when it comes to building your own cube. In this episode in particular, I'll be discussing partner-type mechanics in cubes. If you like any of the cards I'll be mentioning throughout the video, please consider using my TCG Player affiliate link when purchasing those cards. You can find that link down in the description. It'll really help out the channel. The best way you can help support the channel is by Patreon. For just $1, patrons get early access to certain videos on YouTube. In fact, patrons got a chance to see this video earlier. You can also support my channel for free by simply liking, subscribing, and sharing, which also helps out a lot. I put out a video every Monday, so you don't want to miss out. You can join my Discord server for free if you want to join the Commander Tavern community. All pertinent links are down in the description. Alright, let's get back to the episode. Since this mini-series is meant to show different aspects of drafting a Commander cube, if you want to know what a cube is and how it pertains to Commander, I suggest you first watch the first episode, which you can find in the link above. In it, I explain what a cube is, how the deck building process occurs when constructing legit Commander decks from a drafted pool of cards is, and cards you drafted but didn't include in your deck will by default become your sideboard. In this episode, I discuss the partner type mechanics and how they can be achieved or altogether avoided in Commander cubes. Alright, with that lengthy introduction out of the way, let's talk about these mechanics. What I'm referring to are cards with partner, partner with, friends forever, choose a background, and potentially meld. Of these, partner with and meld are the most problematic since they're super restrictive. So I'll get back to them later. Partner is the easiest one to work with in terms of a Commander cube, given that there are currently 56 commanders with partner, 57 if you include the Prismatic Piper, but I'll talk a bit about that thing in a bit. If you include enough of these in your Commander cube and you collate the packs as I explained in my previous episode on how to draft like Commander Legends, which you can find on the link above, that can solve some problems. I include commanders with partner in my own Commander cube and have had no problems drafting it as previously explained. Because if you don't find another partner commander but want to run it, that's what the special copies of the Prismatic Piper are for. As I explained in that video, as part of the draft of my own Commander cube, I hand out 2 copies of the Prismatic Piper to each player. Not only to give them the potential of having guaranteed 2-colored commander to build their deck around, just in case, but if they did manage to snag any commanders with partner, then they can add an additional color to its color identity, whichever one they choose. It's important to point out that while I do collate the packs, I don't collate partners. For example, I shuffle all commanders and then collate them into packs without any sub-collation. So if a pack were to have a commander with partner, there's no guarantee that the second commander in the pack also has partner. This is because it's not a parasitic mechanic. You can pick a commander with partner and then potentially pick a future commander with partner. But if you don't, you can still get a bonus color from the Prismatic Piper. So you'll still have the advantage of picking that initial partner commander. As I mentioned, I include plenty of partner commanders in my own cube and have had no issues with them. A very similar ability is Friends Forever, but this one is a bit more troublesome. The reason being because there are currently only 7 commanders with this ability as of the making of this video. So even if you were to include them all in your Commander cube, if your pool is as vast as mine, the likelihood of drafting 2 commanders with Friends Forever is very low. That being said, my Commander cube only has 3 commanders with Friends Forever. This is because they work well on their own as a solo commander, or even as just a card in the 99. So even if you only picked one, you can still build a deck around it if you wanted to. Again, the only reason this ability is more troublesome than partner is because of the small amount of legendary creatures with it. While it is unfortunate that the Prismatic Piper doesn't also have Friends Forever along with partner, you can errata it as a house rule for your own Commander cube. That way, if anyone drafted a commander with Friends Forever, the Prismatic Piper can be its friend and give them an additional color. Personally, I don't like house rules because it has the potential of bogging down the experience. Drafting a bona fide commander deck from a cube is already heavy enough as it is, so I don't have any house rules whatsoever stapled to my own Commander cube. But at least this one is simple enough to implement if you don't want the feel-bads when drafting only a single commander with Friends Forever. You can tell your guests that the Prismatic Piper can also count Friends Forever commanders in your cube, and it shouldn't be that difficult to remember and implement. It's important to keep in mind that these commanders can also be used in the 99, as with any other legendary creature or potential commander you draft with this cube. So you're not forced to use any specific commander as your deck's commander. That's one reason I don't sub-collate packs. It's part of the risk of drafting. Maybe some commanders with partner or Friends Forever end up in your 99 because of synergy or other reasons. This is why, even though I include commanders with partner and friends forever in my cube, I have avoided all commanders with partner with and meld from my cube. The reason for this is because they're too parasitic. You have to also draft their partner, otherwise you can't really use them as a commander. I mean, sure, technically, you can use them as a solo commander if you wanted to, but let's be real, that's not something someone might want to happen when drafting your cube. Anyone seeing one half of a partner with combination will undoubtedly expect to see its second half as well, and if they don't, it might not be such an interesting or fun experience. This brings about some problems. First, do I subcollate packs so that if one of the commanders were to be in it, then the partner will be in it too? While this can bring about a solution, it also brings other problems. Since my cube is drafted like Commander Legends, the first pick is 2 cards, so you do have the option of drafting both commanders in your first pick. But then you just use both picks on the commander per se and can't use your second pick for a good card for your 99. Yes, this is totally up to how the player wants to draft that specific pack. While I do want the draft experience to be interesting and thought-provoking, I don't want it to be too complex either. But that's just me. If you do want to include commanders with partner with in your own commander cube, drafting it like Commander Legends and subcollating the packs is a good solution. However, keep in mind that a player might just pick one of the 2 commanders if the card is good for their 99 and not necessarily pick the second one. But again, that's all in the nature of the draft. Another problem with this method is when the player receives the pack from someone else and they see both commanders but can only pick one card. Since the first pick is the only one where you can pick 2 cards, it's quite the gamble to pick one of the partner with commanders because then you might get the other half when the pack comes around. Second, do I count drafting partner with cards as a single pick? Another possible solution for this partner with issue is that the partner commanders can count as a single pick. For example, having a placeholder card for them, where the placeholder card serves as a sort of ticket where the player can then redeem it for the cards after the draft. The benefit of this is that the player can just use one of their picks to get both cards. However, this also means that the player is essentially drafting more cards than other players not picking cards with partner with. For example, if their first pick is the placeholder card and some other card, they've basically drafted 3 cards, whereas everyone else drafted 2. So each method has its pros and cons. Earlier I mentioned meld, but there are only 3 pairs of cards with that mechanic as of the making of this video. While this video isn't touching upon what can be done with the cards in the 99, it's definitely a mechanic to consider. And not just these cards, but both halves of Big Furry Monster too. But let's focus on the legends. While unfortunately neither of them have partner with, the fact remains that they are tied to each other. Because if you control both Gisela the Broken Blade and Bruna the Fading Light, you can meld them into Brisella Voice of Nightmares. Again, while it's not entirely necessary to draft both of these angels, same as it's not entirely necessary to draft both partner with commanders if it came to it, the fact remains that anyone seeing any half of these cards will expect to see the other half too. Even Battle Bond collated packs so that the cards with partner with were in the same pack. So as it goes with Gisela and Bruna, whatever solution you decide to go with for the partner with commander should also be done with these 2 cards. Again, even though they don't have partner with and can work on their own, the expectation is there. Due to these problems is why I simply opted out of including partner with and meld commanders altogether. Same with every other parasitic mechanic that spans multiple cards. But that can be a topic for a different video. Now, as for the other types of multi-card commanders, we have those with choose a background and backgrounds. Baldur's Gate is actually what inspired this video because more subsets of 2-card commanders were created. As of the recording of this video, there are currently 31 commanders with choose a background and 29 backgrounds, not counting Faceless One. Fortunately, this one isn't as complicated as partner with and is more similar to Friends Forever with a slight difference. The difference is that you can partner whichever ones you want. You can put 2 commanders with choose a background together, and you can't put 2 backgrounds together either. It has to be one of each, but that's okay. The great thing about these commanders is that WotC also released Faceless One, which is another the Prismatic Piper type card for drafting this set. Thanks to Faceless One, you can add an additional color to any commander with choose a background, or if you want to be extra spicy, use it to make any background you drafted into a commander with Faceless One as the commander with choose a background, adding an additional color to that background. Similarly to the Prismatic Piper, at the start of drafting my cube, I give 2 copies of Faceless One to each player. This means that players receive 4 cards at the beginning of the draft. That way they can either go with 2 Prismatic Pipers or 2 Faceless Ones if they wanted to. If you want to keep your commander cube 100% singleton though, you can just give them one of each and errata them to work together. But again, that might bog down the experience a bit too much, for me at least. In any case, how did I go about putting these in my cube? My cube does have commanders with partner and friends forever, but none of the partner with or meld ones. Well, since the cards are categorized as commander, bulk, and mana fixing, as I explained in the first video of the series, I classified commanders with choose a background as commanders and the backgrounds as bulk. This is because I felt like the backgrounds shouldn't have taken a slot as a commander in my cube. This is because they're still very useful in the 99. It also gives players greater odds of seeing more backgrounds in the draft in case they did want to use one along with Faceless One, or if they also found a commander with choose a background. So, for example, you can receive a pack with a background in it and a commander with choose a background in it, and that would just be chance. You don't have to subcollate packs for them. However, if you see a commander with choose a background and pick it, you don't have to worry about never coming across a background because that's what Faceless One is for. Same with choosing a background you'd like to start the game with in the command zone. You can thus have a 2-colored deck with that commander or background. This also means that any commanders with choose a background for your cube should work very well on their own, regardless of having a good background or not. Same with the partner and friends forever commanders. This should also be the case with backgrounds. But since backgrounds interact with any commander, regardless of what it is, they're good picks regardless if you're looking for a background commander or not, which is why I classified them as part of the bulk section of my cube. All in all, there is no right way or wrong way to make a cube. However, since making a cube with which you're going to be building a bona fide commander deck afterwards, that brings about certain challenges that will have to be tackled. Granted, however you choose to tackle them is up to you, since cubes are a very personal thing. In my experience, the simpler the process, the better. But hopefully you found some ideas and some solutions for yourself and your own cube when it comes to dealing with dual commanders with or without parasitic mechanics. If you haven't already and want to take a gander at the current version of my commander cube, you can find links to it in the description, where you can see both the online version of my cube as well as the one I curate in real life. I have way more topics to cover in greater detail and depth for this mini-series, so stay tuned. I would like to thank all my patrons for supporting me, and a quick shout out to all my higher tier patrons, the Brewers, for their patronage. I also want to thank everyone using my TCG Player affiliate link. That really helps out the channel. And to everyone, thanks for watching this episode of Commander Cube Draft on the Commander Tavern. I am the Untitled Kirby, and happy drafting.